Regular meeting number 32 will now come to order. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Councilmember Remy, please lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening, Council is honored to have Minister Vince Ford, Senior Minister of Church of Christ at Genesee Avenue, here to pray with us. Minister, welcome back to Council.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for another opportunity to come together as a community, as family, and as friends, dear God. We ask as we go forth in this meeting that we continue to have an open mind, that we continue to strive and fight for things that are pleasing and honorable in your sight, as well as the people who live in this community site, dear God. We ask for justice, we ask for peace, we ask for love. We ask for kindness, and we ask for strength. And in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden. Any person who takes any actions to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of city council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
This week's communications received by the City Clerk's office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the City Bulletin. Are there any other communications?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Are there any resolutions by members of council, starting with President Pro Tem Elizabeth Brown? Councilmember Brown.
There we go. I do have an announcement I'd like to pass along. I would like to remind everyone of the two remaining community forums being held to gather input from the community about what you wish to see in the next chief of police for the city of Columbus. There is a forum scheduled for tomorrow night, June 25th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Columbus Urban League. The final meeting will be held Thursday, June 27th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at the St. Stephen's Community House, where individuals have an opportunity to offer input with regards to their concerns regarding the police chief. Also, there is a survey that can be taken if you go online with columbus.gov and see the big red button, and then please participate and take the survey. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Dorans.
No resolutions, just one announcement this evening. I want to announce my June community hours, which will be held this weekend, Saturday, June 29th at the South High Street Library from 10:30 to noon. If folks are available, we'd love for people to stop by. That's all I have. Thanks, President Harden.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Favor. Councilmember Remy.
Thank you very much, Council President Harden. I have one resolution and a couple of announcements this evening. I'd like to invite Mr. Scott Steinecker and Bruce Garfield to the podium, along with your family as well, Scott, as I introduce ordinance number 0179X 2019 to honor, recognize, and celebrate Mr. Scott Steinecker of Promo West Productions for his contributions to building the music scene in the city of Columbus. Scott Steinecker is the founder and CEO of the Midwest's largest independent concert promoter, Promo West Productions. Scott began his career as a hands-on promoter and manager of events at the Newport Music Hall for 35 years. Because of Scott's vision, Promo West Productions now serves as a historic driving force for the development of music in the city of Columbus and surrounding areas. Through Scott's leadership, Promo West Productions is the original developer of the Polaris Amphitheater, which served as host to epic national tours and events such as Farm Aid, Aerosmith, James Brown, Janet Jackson, and the Eagles. Scott designed and opened and managed the unique venue Express Live, which is the first indoor-outdoor facility in the country 18 years ago. Hard to believe it's been that long. With Scott at the helm, Promo West Productions added A&R Bar in the basement nearly a decade ago, also working to open Stage AE in Pittsburgh and begin hosting major market rock festivals like Bunbury in Cincinnati. Columbus would not rock without the vision, direction, persistence, and hard work of Scott Steinecker and his team. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus to honor, recognize, and celebrate Mr. Scott Steinecker of Promo West Productions for his contributions to building the music scene in the City of Columbus. Scott, Bruce, the floor is yours.
President Hardin, esteemed members of the City Council, staff, and of course, all the citizens in the gallery from Columbus. I am the Executive Director of the Columbus Music Commission and have the pleasure of speaking on behalf of Scott Steinecker. I've been in the music business my entire career, and when the name Scott Steinecker is mentioned, it is synonymous with Columbus, it's synonymous with being adventurous and a fair dealer. Scott has a special love for Columbus. It's basically something you see in very few promoters in this country. Scott cares about the local artists and the local music scene and uses every opportunity he can to nurture and build the careers of local artists, and they can best be seen in the example of 21 Pilots, who he's moved over the years through his venues, his farm team, and now he's doing it with a band called Camp, which is achieving international recognition. Scott employs a tremendous amount of people, adds to the tax base here, and is just a wonderful person and is an asset to Columbus and helps put Columbus on a bigger map in the entertainment business. Scott?
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Council. Appreciate this. It was a little bit of a shock. If you guys remember, I might be showing my age, but if you remember, we used to have to go to Cleveland or Cincinnati to see big concerts. Blossom Music Center, the arena up there, Riverbend in Cincinnati. So that was my drive in the early 80s, was to put Columbus on the map. And with the Polaris Amphitheater and now 2 arenas and Express and the Newport, et cetera, Columbus is now the #1 rock city in Ohio. We get every tour that comes through. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is nice.
Well, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues this evening? All right, seeing none, I move for passage.
Please call the row.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Adopted.
Tomorrow, I would like to announce that we're hosting community hours at Upper Cup at 79 Parsons Avenue from 3:30 to 5. And then I am absolutely excited to announce the press conference to announce our new community engagement tool for the City of Columbus, the Columbus Police Department. That will be rolled out on Thursday, the 27th, and we'll have a press conference at 10 a.m. But we are very excited to introduce this tool to the public, and want to thank Councilmember Brown for all his support and the work that's gone into it from the police department. It should be very exciting for all of our residents here in Columbus. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Remy. Councilmember Tyson.
Thank you, President Harden. I have 2 resolutions this evening. The first resolution is Resolution 0199X-2019, and I am going to ask John Gregory and his team, as well as the National African American Male Wellness Initiative, to come to the podium, please. This resolution is to designate June as Men's Health Month in the City of Columbus and to recognize the work of the National African American Male Wellness Initiative and their efforts to improve men's health. Whereas Men's Health Month was created to heighten the awareness of preventable health problems and to encourage early detection and treatment of disease in men. Whereas men continue to live an average of almost 6 years less than women, with the Native American and African American men having the lowest overall life expectancy, in spite of advances in modern medical technology and research. Whereas educating men continues to be a priority, as men who are educated about the value of preventative health are more likely to participate in health screenings, and fathers who maintain healthy lifestyles are more likely to become role models for their children, ultimately leading to happier, healthier children and happier, healthier future adults. And whereas in 2014, John H. Gregory, founder of the National African American Male Wellness Initiative in Columbus, Ohio, to raise awareness that men can live longer from preventative health diseases. Whereas in 2019 marks the 16th anniversary of the AAMWI, which has provided thousands of health screenings to men in Central Ohio, and now have wellness events, walks, and screenings in cities across the United States, in places like New Orleans, Washington, D.C., Charlotte, Seattle, and Atlanta. Whereas the African American Male Wellness Initiative has been recognized by President Barack Obama, who stated, "Everyone deserves the chance to lead a healthy life, and all our communities should have the support they need to thrive." Yet despite the overall improvement of health care and services across America, in recent years, disparities in health care still persist. And President Michael V. Drake, the Ohio State University, said, "By promoting healthier choices and behaviors and the knowledge required to make those choices in the first place, we can and we will make a difference." Whereas the City of Columbus, Columbus Recreation and Parks, Columbus Public Health, and the vast array of corporate and community partners, volunteers, and organizers, and others are committed to improving the overall health of the community and the health of men in general. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that this council does hereby designate June as Men's Health Month in the City of Columbus and recognize and applaud the work of the National African American Male Wellness Initiative efforts to improve men's health. I move for adoption.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson. President Harden.
Thank you. Mr. Gregory, the floor is yours.
Hey, I was standing here thinking that I've been coming to city council for years, and I used to come down to protest, and now I'm coming down to get resolutions. I want to say thank you to President of City Council, and particularly Priscilla Tyson. For years, you have supported all the things that we have done in the community. You've been one of our biggest supporters of the walk, and it's very important to note that the walk has grown. It's a community event. We have over 75 different community organizations involved. We have sponsors. We have today with us CareSource. We have DSW, and I don't know if you know that DSW went to New Balance, and they have created an African American Male Wellness Walk tennis shoe that will be in the DSW stores on August 4th.
And it is our shoe, and inside of the shoe it says African American Male Wellness Walk. So we are very excited about that. We have from The Ohio State University, Dr. Joseph and Dr. Josh. And this year at the walk, we will be kicking off a research project funded by The Ohio State University to determine how we can really begin to focus and figure out how we can make men more healthy and stay healthy. We are excited about, we have Morally Excellent, Brother Cecil Hod, who's been a longtime supporter of the walk. So it's a community event. NBC4 is our media sponsor. We've had events this month where we've taken screenings at every event. And so what we intend to do is change the trajectory of men's health in the city of Columbus by becoming and creating more of an awareness that together we can do more, we can do better. And so with the support of City Council, with the support of the community corporate sponsors, this is the one event that every hospital system is involved, the City, Columbus City Schools is involved, every managed care system is involved, fraternities are involved. We all come together for the purpose. And last year, when you all came out, it rained. It rained for the first time in 15 years. And it rained like it was raining for making up for 15 years. But what you saw was nobody wanted to leave. And people would stand, and to the point that the fire chief had to say, it's a mandate that you leave. So what that said to us that many people see this as a valuable asset to the community, and we look forward to not only carrying the message in the month of June, but in August coming out and having people come and participate and be a part of. I'd like to have Dr. Joseph, if he could say something to the group. Sorry. Hey, I'm blind.
Dr. Gray, come up here.
Dr. Gray, Dr. Joseph. As you see, they're pushing me out the way. Okay.
Thank you, President Hardin, council members, and community members with us. I stand before you, Dr. Gray, member of The Ohio State University, along with Dr. Joshua Joseph, also joined by Dr. James O'Day with the College of Public Health, and our other partner, Dr. Tamaya Nolan from the College of Nursing. You know, one thing that Mr. Gregory has long recognized is the impact of social determinants of health on our communities. And albeit now that's a buzz term and we use it very commonly, this is something that Mr. Gregory has recognized for a long time. And while he talked about the walk happening on August 10th, know that the National Center for Urban Solutions, as well as the African American Male Wellness Initiative, has year-round events that address financial wellness, cooking with dads, other elements that help to keep our communities healthy. I'm truly excited to be a part of Ohio State University representing them in our partnership, particularly as we try to demonstrate the impact that they are having on our community. As he mentioned, African American males die prematurely and unnecessarily. What we're trying to do is to change that narrative and to change that scope. And with that, I welcome Dr. Joshua Joseph.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gray, and thank you so much, City Council and esteemed President Hardin. I would just like to say a couple brief words and just say, for so long, you heard the mantra of know your numbers. You guys heard that over and over and over again. And that know your numbers mantra saved hundreds of lives here in Columbus. We have many examples of individuals who came out to the walk, learned they had diabetes, and were able to treat their diabetes. Individuals who had blood pressures who were very near a stroke and got those blood pressures under control after the walk. And that has been fantastic. But now we're going to take the next step. And that next step is having African American men embrace wellness. We all talk about how African American men have the lowest health of any racial group in Ohio and nationally. And so as we take that next step, it's wonderful to have the partnership with the African American Male Wellness Initiative and many partners, including the City of Columbus, as we move forward to really embrace wellness as a community and drive better population health here right in Columbus. Thank you so much.
Greetings, President Hardin and Columbus Council members. I thank you for the opportunity to stand before you. My name is Mark Rindleman, and I represent CareSource. CareSource is a major sponsor for the African American Male Wellness Walk initiative. And I say initiative because it's more than a walk. We've been with them since the inception, and we're excited to be on the team. They bring us a lot of opportunity to get out and reach the community. In addition, their efforts bring light to the fact that there are concerns in the African American community, especially as it pertains to men. And we're glad to be on board with that. Thank you.
So I want to say thank you, council. Thank you for your participation. I also want to say this because people oftentimes ask me, is this just an African American event? No. We had a golf outing Saturday, and it was the white team that won. We have a 5K official run. It's always a white man that runs. So the event is open up for everybody, every race, and anybody. This is a community event, and we're proud that we can join together and work together to solve an issue in our community. Thank you very much.
John, I'm going to bring you the resolution, but I just want to say thank you to all, for everyone that came down this evening. Thank you to all the volunteers, the staff, the board members, the corporations, for-profit, nonprofits that are working with you. This is, again, it's Men's Health Month, but it is so important that we focus on where we have the strongest need in our community to be able to make sure individuals are trying to live out their best quality of life. And the only way we do that is we focus on the areas where we have the most significant issues. And certainly in this community, there are African American men are the individuals that are certainly dying faster than anyone else because of preventable illnesses. And when we don't have our fathers and or brothers here, what it does, it creates other issues for our community. That means women, boys, children don't have their dads, uncles around to help to mentor them because it does take a village to move our community forward. So I thank you all for your leadership in terms of ensuring that or showcasing ways for our African American men to lead healthier lives by having this initiative that's year round. And so I appreciate each and every one of you for making change in our community. Continue to do this great work, and I'm just going to say, may God continue to bless each and every one of you for the work that you're doing. Thank you. Oh, Councilman Mitchell Brown wants to say something.
Mr. Gregory and I go back a long, long, long way. Shh. Okay, John, I won't reveal how far, but I think it's important for everyone to appreciate the fact that this was John's dream a long time ago, and it's not often someone gets an opportunity to realize their dream. John, I could not be more proud of what you've been able to make happen over these years with the concern for the wellness of African American males as well as others. So congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
I hate to do this, but the walk is on August 10th.
There you go.
Perfect. Health screenings start at 7 a.m. and the walk starts at 9:30.
Perfect.
Thank you.
That was good.
Thank you. I have another resolution, and it's 199X-2019, and it is to recognize and celebrate, and I'm going to ask Mr. Tim McDermott on being selected as the June 2019 Local Food Action Plan Food Champion by the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Board and the Franklin County Local Food Council. And if Tony, Ariel, Jaleesa, just all come up to the podium, please. This resolution is to recognize and celebrate Mr. Tim McDermott on being selected as a June 2019 Local Food Action Plan Local Food Champion by the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Board and the Franklin County Local Food Council. Whereas the Local Food Champion Award recognizes and celebrates grassroots community efforts that support the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Action Plan's vision of a fair and sustainable food system that benefits our local economy, the environment, and each of the residents of this community. Whereas Mr. Timothy McDermott joined the Ohio State University Extension in the fall of 2015 as a 20-plus year career practicing veterinary medicine and surgery in Franklin County. He serves as an educational lead with the Buckeye ISA Project, which assists family-oriented farmers with growing food to support their food security needs. He has developed a school gardening curriculum to support and develop community workforce needs by teaching students about STEM-based agricultural techniques in Columbus City elementary schools. These schools are affiliated with the Columbus City Schools Linden Feeder Pattern, which supports students from elementary through high school. This also provides support to the other Franklin County school districts through impactful programming tailored to family, community, and neighborhoods. Tim uses a situational style, meeting individually or with groups, to develop a personalized needs assessment to address challenges on both the micro and macro levels. Whereas Tim's ability to leverage existing partnerships to create friendships and develop new resources, innovative programming, patience, and a willingness to listen and learn has cultivated and laid a foundation of success that can be replicated. His curriculums help families and groups with sustainable food. And whereas the City of Columbus and the Franklin County Local Food Board was established to oversee, prioritize, and guide implementation activities of the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Action Plan. The Franklin County Local Food Council is an independent advisory council that brings together people from across the food system, from those who grow food to those who eat it, focusing on people and neighborhoods and most affected by the food system policies and programs. And whereas the City of Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Board and the Franklin County Local Food Action Council recognized Mr. Timothy McDermott as the winner of the June of 2019 Local Food Champion Award, and his work embodies the goals outlined in the Local Food Action Plan. Goals A, B, C, and D include enhancing the coordination and communication among existing food resources and agencies, improving access to and education about healthy food, affordable food and local food, increasing the role of food in economic development, and preventing food-related waste. And whereas Tim's achievements were honored during a special ceremony at the Franklin County Local Food Council meeting on Wednesday, June the 19th at Columbus Public Health. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that this council does hereby recognize and celebrate Mr. Tim McDermott on being selected as the June 2019 Local Food Action Plan Local Food Champion by the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Board and the Franklin County Local Food Council. I move for adoption. Thank you.
Councilmember, can we move to amend? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. First I need to move to amend as submitted to the clerk.
Please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. Now I move for passage.
Please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank
Adopted.
you. Thank you. So I don't know who's going to start. Is it Tony? Tony Logan, who's the vice chair of our Local Food Action Board.
Yes. Thank you, Councilwoman Tyson and President Harden and esteemed members of the City Council. I am Tony Logan, serve as Vice Chairman of the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Board, and we're thrilled tonight to be recognizing Tim McDermott as the winner of the Local Food Action Plan and Local Food Champion Award. I don't know if you get a cape or something for that, Tim, but at any rate, the Columbus and Franklin County Local Food Board is responsible for guiding the implementation of the Local Food Action Plan. And we know it would be impossible to do this, particularly all the granular work that has to be done on the deliverables there. We could not accomplish that without community partners who are doing their part. And Tim is both a grower and a teacher who's seen as a friendly and welcoming and knowledgeable expert to our many new urban growers, and he exemplifies the principles of coordination and communication as outlined in the goals of our Local Food Action Plan. And he's been integral to connecting people and projects and making it easier for growers to feed themselves and eventually help feed our community. Tim and his colleagues at OSU Extension have taken the sheer concept of urban agriculture and helped to transform it into a movement throughout Central Ohio. So, Tim, we're thrilled tonight to congratulate you on your accomplishments, and along with City Council, we're here to tell you, keep on growing.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. Good afternoon, President Hardin and members of City Council. My name is Ariel Miller. I'm the chair of the Franklin County Local Food Council. This might be the most number of times you've used the word local food in any given meeting. I'm honored to co-present the Local Food Champion Award to McDermott tonight alongside Tony and other members of the Local Food Board. Tim has been involved with the Food Council for a long time, as well as with urban agriculture as a skilled, enthusiastic presenter and educator. He's an excellent example of what community engagement should be, providing regular group education sessions as well as one-on-one assistance to community gardeners and urban farmers. The Local Food Council is really responsible for helping keep the community connected to the Local Food Action Plan as it's implemented and providing connection and relationship building within the food community itself. So it's exciting to be able to recognize Tim for these qualities as well, because it's what we hope to embody in our own work. It's not uncommon that a grower will call him with an issue, and he's there at their garden or their farm helping solve their problem within the same day. When Tim sees commonalities in projects, he's also quick to build connections. He's good at follow-up. He's trying to figure out how he can further assist people, and is always continuing to try and build a more robust network of growers and producers within the county. So we thank Tim for his dedication to the local food system and for helping move urban agriculture forward in Franklin County and the city of Columbus. Thank you.
Thank you, Ariel. Tim.
Thanks. Council President Hardin, Councilmember Tyson, esteemed members of council, thank you very, very much for this award. It means a tremendous amount to me. As Councilmember Tyson was saying, I'm in my second career now, a short period of time with Extension. I'm a long-time local, and the ability to impact my neighborhoods and my neighbors in a positive way means a lot to me. Thank you very much for providing us with that excellent guideline, the Columbus Local Food Action Plan, which steers what I do with my outreach and education. What I've been spending a good chunk of my 2019 on is moving forward, advancing a lot of what is in the B track, which is education about growing and consuming local foods. And what I'm focally targeting as a priority plan to implement is aligned with the B goals, numbers 5, 9, and 12, which address the need for increased workforce development for students using STEM-based agricultural techniques. So over the past 6 months, what I've been doing is engaging with Columbus City Schools and their Farm to School, as well as Ohio State's Farm to School Field Specialist, where we had brought a project idea to Scotts Miracle-Gro, and so we will implement at all 75 CCS elementaries, probably about a third this year, and then the rest through 2020, complete growing indoor and outdoor with supportive curriculum so that we can start to impact students when they're young to get them engaged. The hopeful target would be that we would then adjust some of the curriculum over in the Linden feeder pattern and utilize the infrastructure that we have at St. Stephen's Community House, which has a large amount of urban ag infrastructure. So any student that would be engaged at the elementary level then perhaps could opt into that feeder pattern to continue their studies, with the ultimate goal that maybe we would get some of these students engaged for some of the high-paying STEM-based agricultural technique that we need to fill for these jobs to feed not only our city, but our county and our state as well. So thank you very much. I consider this a tremendous honor.
Thank you, Tim. And you certainly just shared with all the work that you're doing. You also played a tremendous role in terms of working with us with the Linden Farmers Market last year, and just really appreciate you and your work, and continue to do this amazing work in our community. It's great when you can change a profession from being a veterinarian to working with us now on food, and you're just a great partner. So thank you and congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. Are there any comments by elected officials, auditor, city attorney's office? I want to recognize members of the South Linden Area Commission that are with us this evening. Welcome back to council. Are there any requests by members of council for the removal of any ordinance from the resolution consent portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may we now have a motion to waive reading of the titles of third-day legislation? Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson. President Harden.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read into the record ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation, tonight's agenda?
Finance Committee, Ordinance 1683-2019. Recreation and Parks Committee, Ordinance 1730-2019. Education Committee, Ordinance 854-2019. Public Utilities Committee, Ordinances 1453, 1455, 1470, 1479, 1501, 1504, 1515, 1548, and 1616-2019. Technology Committee, Ordinances 1439, 1443, 1503, 2019. Public Service and Transportation Committee, Ordinance 1591-2019. Economic Development Committee, Ordinances 1646, 1647, 1648, 1649-2019. Rules and Reference Committee, Ordinance 1763 and 1547-2019. Zoning Committee, Ordinances 1672 and 1695-2019.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have 3 speakers on the first reading portion of the agenda. The first speaker to come before council is Lawrence Calloway, speaking in favor of Ordinance 1730-2019. Please let the record reflect. I'm so sorry. Oh, come forward.
Good evening. Thank you, President
Welcome back to
Harden,
council.
members of City Council. Coming to you today to speak for and on behalf of the legislation regarding the Crew Stadium. I stand before you not only as the chair of the South Linden Area Commission, but also as a concerned resident and community member. So with that being said, I bring these seeds to the storehouse. Upon review of the legislation and also listening to representatives of the crew, we find this to be a very promising thing. Usually optimistic is the term to use, but it's not optimistic. It's very promising in that there's a term that resonates throughout the legislation. It's kind of small, but it says good faith. And in good faith, the South Linden residents, community members, look toward this piece of legislation to help us out with a couple of things, and one of them that is very important is the One Linden Plan. It has some main ideas, some concepts that we hold true and of value when it comes to education, workforce development, health and safety, and transportation. All of these are opportunities. Anytime development comes through, there's opportunity for change, and we must be ready for that change. But we also think about it in good faith that when this venture occurs, that it will not cause undue hardship to the hardworking residents and homeowners of the community. That they don't feel like something like this will have them displaced, but will add and will be beneficial to them. It is in good faith that we anticipate this venture to assist in improving viable opportunities for minorities, women-based businesses. It is also in good faith that the Linden children and family will have beneficial access to programs, employment, and developmental opportunities. And it is also in good faith that we anticipate a continued open door to the Linden community and growing its potential in a way that we see as beneficial to all. We understand that this is not just something for the Linden community, but it's for the city as a whole. It is good. Offering programs that could stem from access to young people who have very limited access to very developed program and professional athletes and growth and support. This is really a big deal. But and lastly, I charge the Linden community to remain involved with the investment as it is invested in us. Continue to walk to the door, continue to sit at the table, continue to be a part of the process. With that, I am in full support as a concerned Linden resident, previous resident, community member, community leader, however you want to term that, We are committed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next speaker to come before council is Anita Davis. Ms. Davis, welcome to council.
Good evening, Council President Hardin, Pro Tem Brown, and the esteemed members of council. My name is Anita Davis, and I'm here this evening to support the new plans for Mopfrey Stadium and the community sports complex, and the economic development agreement that will move those plans forward. To be clear, I'm not here to explain why appropriating the funds makes sense for our city and how this will, along with the new Linden Community Center, help to drive economic growth and social equity for a cherished Columbus community. I'll leave the numbers, facts, and figures to those who know so much more about the details than I do. I'm here instead as a mom of two who have since birth almost been participating in CRPD programs and services, and as a wellness enthusiast and evangelist who understands that whole wellness, which includes nature, creativity, and fitness, is essential to living your best life. My children, Isabella and Julian, have participated in everything from volleyball to martial arts to swim lessons at CRPD centers. They have thrived, played, and made friends, great friends, at CRPD day camps every summer. They have celebrated friends' birthdays and family members' graduations at CRPD locations throughout this city. And I have worked really hard to lose all the baby weight, with a group of dedicated, never let me quit, never took it easy on me, fully committed to fitness, wonderful group of men at Thompson Recreation Center who supported me like the big brothers I never had. I'm here as a super fan and super user of CRPD programs and services. I'm here as an aware and involved member of our community who is excited about the opportunities this new sports complex provides for a neighborhood that needs and deserves uplift and equity. I am here in support of this complex because it will provide greater access to health, wellness, creativity, activity, and community engagement for the people of Linden and for numerous other children and adults who use it. I am here to put a human face, a real life face, to this project and the benefits for families in mind. I'm also here so that you remember that this is always about so much more than numbers, facts, and figures. It's about people, living, breathing people, including moms with really tight budgets and highly active kids, who will benefit from the expanded programs and services that this new project will provide, who will benefit from the increased opportunities to have safe spaces to be healthy, to thrive, and to live their best lives. You cannot do that if you are unwell. You cannot do that if you don't have affordable, convenient access to quality facilities and programs. You just can't. This new facility and what it offers, it's a brand new, beautiful, fully equipped space, a sports complex for the enrichment and enjoyment of all of our citizens, especially those in Linden, regardless of budget, income, family size, or location. And I appreciate the time. I hope you enjoyed my comments, and I hope you'll vote in favor. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, Ms. Davis. The final speaker we have on the first reading portion of the agenda is Antonio Combs. Mr. Combs, welcome to council.
Good evening, Council President Hardin, Council Pro Tem Brown, and Columbus City Council members. My name is Antonio Combs, and I'm a recreational manager for the City of Columbus Recreation and Parks Department. For those of you who are not familiar with the mission of our great department, it is to connect people of our community through the power of nature, wellness, and creativity. And our vision is a socially equitable city. I want you to think about the word equitable. A key word in our vision statement is equity because we strongly believe that every resident deserves access to all of our programming. And I have dedicated myself, my team, and other recreation and parks professionals to ensure that we fulfill this vision. Last year, I had the opportunity and was elated to launch a key initiative within the department in the Wedgwood community at both Eakin Elementary School and Wedgwood Middle School. The focus of this initiative was to continue to provide robust recreational programming to neighborhoods where a traditional community center does not exist. Actually, it's a little over a mile walk from the Wedgwood community to the nearest recreation center, which is Westgate. In the Wedgwood community, we provide kids an abundance of after-school programming that includes many of our core tenets focus on enhancing the arts, connecting with nature, and most importantly, health and wellness through recreational activity. If there is one thing that brings a community together, it's sports, especially soccer. In our Recreational Parks Department, the crew has been a longstanding supporter of our Soccer for Success program. Soccer for Success is a free after-school program created by the U.S. Soccer Foundation to help youth establish healthy habits and to develop critical life skills. Currently, 9 Columbus Recreation and Parks community centers support nearly 200 youth participating in this program. Because of the crew's commitment to access and to equity, we are able to expand the program to the Wedgwood neighborhood this summer with the addition of a new futsal court and programming funds for kids in the Wedgwood community. We are thankful for the Cruz Foundation and ongoing support for our mission, and we look forward to building the relationships for generations to come. I agree and support the city's next step to keep the crew here in Columbus because I can see firsthand that the crew is committed to ensuring our residents have access to an important gem in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Combs. I probably should have done this during the announcements portion of the agenda, but as chair of the Small Minority Business Committee, and while I'm thinking about this ordinance, I wanted to bring attention to an event this Wednesday for minority and women-owned business enterprise community information session. It's to learn about projects and bid opportunities related to the new Crew Stadium and Sports Park. It's going to be Wednesday, June 26th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at New Salem Baptist Church. Director Brown, do you have any other comments on that?
Thank you, Council President Hardin and members of council. I would just add that the diversity and inclusion commitment that has been laid out in this development agreement really is a reflection of what you can accomplish with public-private partners in advancing this important work around diversity and inclusion and making sure that our communities get the best of what is available to us by the city. We certainly appreciate the partnership of the crew, and we look forward to the engagement of our communities as well as our small and minority businesses in making sure that this happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. The following ordinance appear on our agenda as consent action. Will the clerk now read those ordinance numbers into the record?
Resolutions of Expression 196X200X-2019. Finance Committee, ordinances 905, 1372, 1523, 1524, 1530, 1551, 1552, 1557, 1571, 1620, 1629, 1654, 1664, 1667, 1673, 1675, and 1678-2019. Recreation and Parks Committee, ordinances 1364, 1543, 1544, 1570, and 1630-2019. Public Safety Committee, ordinance 1555, 1587, 1600-2019. Veterans and Senior Affairs Committee, ordinances 1448 and 1449-2019. Public Utilities Committee, ordinance 1215, 1315, 1382, 1463, 1521, and 1535-2019. Technology Committee, ordinances 1440, 1617-2019. Public Service and Transportation Committee, ordinances 1467, 1478, 1510, 1533, 1588, and 1589-2019. Housing Committee, ordinances 1469, 1538, 1539, 1540, 1607, 1608-2019. Criminal Justice and Judiciary Committee, ordinance 1192-2019. Economic Development Committee, Resolution 183X-2019, ordinances 1564, 1568, and 1609-2019. and 1610-2019. Administration Committee, ordinances 1507, 1652-2019. Health and Human Services Committee, ordinances 1508, 1509, 1531, 1592-2019. Small and Minority Business Committee, ordinance 1525-2019. And appointments from the Mayor's Office numbered A0091, 92, 93, and 94-2019.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have one speaker on ordinance 1539-2019, Mr. Nathaniel Wilkins. Mr. Wilkins, welcome back to council.
Hey, James. 1612 Arlington Avenue, North Linden area. Mr. Nathaniel George Wilkins. I'm speaking in against of 1539, 2019, holding the land bank 1125 East 17th Avenue. I'm against it because I don't know how long the property has sit into the land bank and what would this property be used for. The reason why I'm against this property, I don't want to see any rental property. I want to see the property to be sold or built. So again, I'm against this for several reasons. But I'd like to know how long this property has sit in the land bank through South Linden on East 17th, 1125. Thank you for your time.
Director, will you follow up with that information from Mr. Wilkins, please, about the time that the partial has been in the land bank? Are there any other questions or concerns by my colleague? Seeing none, may I have a motion for approval of these items designated as consent action? Clerk, can you please call the roll by voice?
Ms. Brown? Yes, with the exception of 1448, 1449, 1609, and 1508-2019, on which I am abstaining. Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorrance? Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? Ms. Tyson? President Harden.
Yes. Consent agenda items are passed with the noted exceptions. We'll now proceed with the second reading of 30-day and table legislation. The first committee to come before council is the Finance Committee, chaired by President Pro Tem Elizabeth Brown. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight in the Finance Committee, we have Resolution 0178X-2019 to adopt the 2020 tax budget and to authorize and direct the city auditor to submit said budget to the county and to declare an emergency. We tabled this resolution at the June 10th council meeting in order to provide public notice and to hold a hearing on the 2020 tax budget. As in past years, we will conduct this public hearing in conjunction with the resolution's second reading tonight. So first, I would like to request to remove from the table.
Second. Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Move from the table.
Filing of this tax budget with the Franklin, Fairfield, and Delaware County Budget Commissions will fulfill requirements set forth in the Ohio Revised Code for the City of Columbus to receive local government funds from the state of Ohio. I have no speaker slips for tonight. Do you have any comments that you'd like to make in addition, Auditor Kilgore? Thank you so much, Madam Auditor. If there are no comments or questions from my colleagues, this concludes the public hearing on the matter, and I move for adoption of the resolution.
Second. Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorrance, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden.
Resolution adopted.
Next, we have ordinance 1556-2019 to authorize the Finance and Management Director on behalf of the Fleet Management Division to establish purchase orders from previously established universal term contracts for the purchase of plug-in battery and plug-in hybrid electric vehicles with Mike Albert Fleet Solutions, to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of $1,231,327.29 from the Special Income Tax Fund, to authorize the expenditure of $174,000 from the Smart City Private Grant Fund, and to declare an emergency. Through this ordinance, the Fleet Management Division will purchase vehicles that continue to meet the Mayor's Green Fleet Action Plan by reducing carbon emissions and greenhouse gases. These purchases are also in accordance with the commitments to the Smart City program. Of the total cost, $174,000 will be provided by the Department of Public Service through a one-time grant award from Vulcan that covers $3,000 per vehicle. Emergency action is being considered tonight so that the vehicles can be purchased prior to vendor cutoff dates. Any questions? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second. Please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Last in finance, we have ordinance 1593-2019 to authorize the Finance and Management Director to enter into a universal term contract for the option to purchase long-distance communication services with AT&T, to authorize the expenditure of $1 from General Budget Reservation BRPO 001107, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of City Code, and to declare an emergency. All city agencies use long-distance communication services provided through this contract. The total estimated expenditure for these services is $35,000 citywide. The purchasing office is requesting to waive competitive bidding as the Department of Technology continues working with AT&T on their voice over IP migration project. Director Lombardi, regarding the waiver of competitive bidding, can you please provide us an update on the progress?
Sure. Thanks, President Harden, President Pro Tem Brown, other members of council. The city operates multiple phone systems which utilize an outside telephone circuits that connect to 21 of our fire stations and 1 public utility location. Currently, our Department of Technology is working on a VoIP system, a voice over internet protocol that utilizes the AT&T service to connect those locations, and we have to waive the bidding so that we can continue to work with AT&T, or we wouldn't be able to have phones connected at the firehouses and the 1 location of public utilities. If you recall, there was a resolution in 2017 that was passed that entered into an MOU with the Columbus City Schools for us to service their VoIP system. That is for a fee. They do pay us for the maintenance and the support of their VoIP system, and I would defer to Director Orth of our Department of Technology for any specifics about how the migration is going.
Okay. Any questions from colleagues on that Director Orth can answer?
President Harden, President Pro Tem Brown, members of council, we have had some technology challenges and staff resource constraints with the VoIP program. We have been able to overcome those resource constraints, and with the new staff resources that we have on board, we're confident we'll be able to conclude the project this year. So that would give us the ability to look at rebidding the contract at the end of 2019.
Okay, thank you. No further questions. I move for passage.
Second. Please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
President Harden, that's all I have in finance, but may I move to Recreation and Parks?
Please.
Thank you. I have 1 ordinance tonight in Recreation and Parks, and as I read it, I'd like to invite to the podium Assistant Director Eric Brandon with CRPD, Nate Kaufman, Executive Director of the Ohio CDC Association, and Jeff Carpenter, President and CEO of CME Federal Credit Union. Tonight we have ordinance 1726-2019 to authorize Columbus City Council to apply for and accept a grant from the Ohio CDC Association in support of individual development accounts for Columbus students, to authorize the Columbus City Council to enter into contract with the Ohio CDC Association for administration of the grant, to authorize an appropriation and expenditure within the Job Growth Subfund, and to declare an emergency. I would like to especially thank Council President Harden for his support and co-sponsorship of this ordinance. It funds a new pilot project that we're calling Earn to Learn. The program provides an 8-to-1 match towards a savings account for 20 participants in the city's APPS summer work program. The match is up to $4,000 for those who save up to $500 of their own earnings. That's a total of $4,500 per student toward post-secondary training or education. By breaking down financial barriers to education, we think Earn to Learn is a way to invest in young people and families, and that benefits our whole city. While we're starting small with 20 participants, our purpose is big. A young person in Columbus who wants to pursue further education should never be deterred for fear of debt or inability to pay. This program would not have been possible without partnerships on all levels. The CME Federal Credit Union has agreed to host these savings accounts and contribute $20,000 towards the matching pool. And in partnership with the Ohio CDC and CME Federal Credit Union, we are pulling down $40,000 in federal funds through the U.S. Department of HHS. Again, I want to thank Council President Hardin for sponsoring this with me and championing it from the start. And I want to thank our Recreation and Parks Department and Assistant Director Brandon in particular for the really meaningful partnership with APPS to do something that I think can be transformative for these youth. But before I move for passage, I would like to invite the three key partners to share a few words. Assistant Director Brandon.
Thank you, Chair Brown and President Hardin and members of council. So the mission of the APPS program is to reduce crime and violence by increasing the protective factors in the lives of youth and young adults ages 14 to 23. We use prevention and intervention strategies to do that. As part of the APPS strategy, financial literacy has been one of our key program offerings for several years. Over the past 2 summers, city administration has transitioned resources for summer youth employment to the Youth and Family Development Division to facilitate this effort. Many of our young workers come from or live in very challenging financial conditions and are anxious to help themselves, their families, and their entire household. It is inspiring to see so many of them seeking ways to break the cycle of poverty in their homes. We are committed to developing strong cognitive strategies for healthier financial futures. In 1 year, over 120 youth have completed and passed our 9-module financial literacy class. The IDA program is a perfect partner to enhance this effort. The incredible 8-to-1 match, up to a total of $4,500 in savings, helps create the possibility of higher education while simultaneously reducing the burden. We look forward to working with Ohio CDC and CME Credit Union as we grow this program. We thank Council for connecting us to this phenomenal opportunity for our youth. And so I'm going to let Mr. Kaufman talk a little bit more about the nuts and bolts of the IDA program.
Thank you so much, Assistant Director. Mr. Kaufman, welcome.
Thank you, Chair Brown, Council President Hardin, members of council. My name is Nate Kaufman. I'm with the Ohio CDC Association. We're a statewide membership organization that exists to build capacity for our 260 members. Some of them you may know, CD for All People, Impact Community Action, and Homeport. As part of our capacity building, we offer a variety of different programs. One of those that we've had for 20 years now is our Individual Development Account program. And as intimated, it is a program that couples financial education along with routine savings of the youth in this case, that will result in the end of them purchasing a wealth-building asset, which is their education. And we are very excited to partner with the City of Columbus and to grant the $40,000 along with yours to make this impact in the Columbus community. It's also my hope, since this is a pilot, that I'll be back here in a year or two because we have high hopes to replicate the Earn to Learn program at scale, which started in the state of Arizona. And I'll leave you with one statistic that they have accomplished. Pell-eligible students in America, the 6-year average for graduation is about 39%. In Arizona, with their Earn to Learn program, it is pushing 80%, so it's fully doubled. And this, we're hoping to be able to scale this up and be back and replicate this in Columbus after we have success here with this program. So thank you very much for your support. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much. Mr. Carpenter, on behalf of CME Federal Credit Union.
Thank you, Councilwoman Brown. President Hardin, good to see you again. Members of council, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and speak in support of this program. In 1935, Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the Federal Credit Union Act, which created credit unions. The act defines a credit union's purpose is to promote thrift among its members and create a source of credit for provident and productive purposes. Also in 1935, the 294th Federal Credit Union chartered. A group of 8 Columbus firefighters founded CME Federal Credit Union. Later, we added the Columbus Police Department and eventually all Columbus Municipal employees. While we now serve the citizens of 8 counties, Columbus, Ohio, surrounding, we have never lost our focus and purpose around first responders and our city employees. Earlier this month, I had the distinguished opportunity to graduate from Leadership Columbus, a part of the 2019 class, best class ever. We have to say that every time. But in this very chamber, actually, President Hardin, Councilmember Brown, shared with me the incredible power of public-private partnerships, the ability of these groups to come together and solve some of our city's greatest challenges and make this place a great place to live and a great place to raise a family. So with our credit union's mandated purpose to promote thrift, with our focus as the credit union for the City of Columbus employees, and my newfound knowledge about the power of public and private partnerships, it is truly my pleasure on behalf of our 35,000 members of CME Federal Credit Union to offer to support this program with $20,000 that we can both support, invest in post-secondary success and workforce development for these very important young people and give them a leg up. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership and partnership. Do my colleagues have anything they'd like to add? All right. Well, seeing nothing further, again, thank you, gentlemen, and I'm very excited to move for passage on this ordinance.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committees.
Thank you, Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Safety Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Mitch Brown. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. This evening in Public Safety, I have Ordinance 1601 to authorize the Director of Public Safety to enter into a contract for maintenance and repair services for the Crime Lab instruments with Specialty Underwriters, LLC, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of Columbus City Code, Chapter 329, to authorize the expenditure again of $69,311 from the general fund and to declare an emergency. In the chair, as Deputy Director speaks, would you please speak to the issue regarding the bid waiver request?
Thank you, Chairperson Brown, President Hardin, members of council. Our crime lab has many different types of instruments that must be fine-tuned to very exact specifications. This one vendor is authorized by all the manufacturers, and so by utilizing them, not only do we save money, we are far more efficient. So for that reason, we are asking for the bid waiver.
Any questions from my colleagues with regards to the request? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Adopted. Passed. Sorry.
Thank you. Also, President Hardin, can I move forward to Veterans and Senior Affairs, please?
Please.
Thank you, sir. Tonight I have 2 companion pieces of legislation with regards to our senior affairs. I would like to ask Ms. Cindy Farson, Executive Director of the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging, to approach the podium. I have Ordinance 1331-2019 to authorize an appropriation in the amount of $83,774,560 from the unappropriated balance of the Recreation and Parks Grant Fund to the Recreation and Parks Department to provide home care and assisted living services to older adults in connection with the pre-admission screening system providing options and resources known as Passport, a Medicaid waiver program for Central Ohio, and to declare an emergency. Before I ask for any questions from my colleagues, I think it's important to provide just a little bit of information in regards to that, again, because they're companion pieces. The Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging plans and funds and delivers services that help older adults and individuals with disabilities remain safe and independent in their homes. With the assistance of area providers, COAAA arranges, coordinates services, and helps individuals with daily living such as homemaking, transportation, home-delivered meals, and personal care. COAAA manages services for over 10,000 people and funds services for another 20,000 older adults in 8 counties. With that being said, I'll turn it over to Ms. Faison to speak to additional issues. Please.
Council President Hardin, council members, thank you, Councilmember Brown, for asking us to say a few words about the Passport program. Out of 42 funding sources, Passport remains the largest for the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging. The program was a demonstration started in 1984 at COAAA and has grown to be the state of Ohio's primary statewide alternative to nursing home care in the community. When Passport began, the ratio of people in Medicaid long-term care was 92% in nursing homes and only 8% in community-based care. That has now flipped to 64% of older adults in Medicaid being cared for in the community versus 36% in facilities. COAAA case manages over 7,000 individuals in the Passport program and related waivers for older adults. This provides a home assessment, consultations with the individual and caregiver, and a package of monthly services tailored to the needs of the individual, and then case managed by a licensed social worker or nurse. Also included in Passport is the initial phone screening, provider relations services that contracts with over 425 community providers, and monitoring of those providers for quality. I think the important thing to know about Passport is that we encourage all folks to call COAAA if there is a need for services in the home. You'll find out that eligibility for the Medicaid-funded program may be wider than you think, and if you aren't eligible, we'll be looking at other community programs that we work with, including the Senior Options Levy, and see what help is available. COAAA is proud to be a part of the city and Central Ohio region that values older adults. The leadership taken by the city to join the age-friendly movement in support of other initiatives that recognize the fast-growing senior population is fully appreciated by the 325 employees at COAAA and other aging services in Central Ohio and Columbus.
Ms. Watson, thank you. Any questions from my colleagues? I move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Brown?
By voice.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorns?
Yes. Sorry.
Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? Ms. Tyson? President Harden?
Yes. Ordinance passed.
Don't go. Stay. Also, I have ordinance 1332, 2019, to authorize the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into various contracts for the provision of pre-admission screening systems, providing options and resources, again, Passport, home care and assisted living services for older adults in Central Ohio, to authorize the expenditure of $63,200,000 from the Recreation and Parks Grant Fund, and to declare an emergency. Again, I move for passage, but I think it's also important for all of us to appreciate the fact that we are all getting older, and the recognition of this program is beneficial for all citizens in the city of Columbus. As I was told earlier, we're all getting older, so it's pretty cool. So keep it in perspective. And I also want to say thank you to the Recreation and Parks Director, Paul Wachowski. Taking on responsibilities is significant to assist and help our aging community, so it's greatly appreciated. So with that, I move for passage. And by voice vote.
Clerk, please call the roll by voice.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Dorns?
Yes.
Ms. Favor? Mr. Remy? Ms. Tyson? President Harden?
Yes, ordinance passed.
That's all I have this evening, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Public Utilities Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Dorns. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. We have two pieces of legislation this evening. The first is ordinance number 1339-2019 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into a construction contract with Granite Interior LLC for the 2018 annual lining project, to authorize the appropriation transfer of up to $5,114,142 from the Sanitary Sewer Reserve Fund to the Ohio Water Development Loan Fund, to authorize the expenditure of $5,144,142 from the Ohio Water Development Loan Fund, and to amend the 2019 capital improvements budget to provide sufficient authority. This project will rehabilitate existing sanitary sewers within the city of Columbus, reducing inflow and infiltration in the city's sanitary system. It also mitigate sanitary sewer overflows to basements and waterways all across the city. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, seeing none, I move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorns, Favor, Remy, Tyson, President Harden?
Passed.
Next, we have ordinance number 1546-2019 to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to enter into a construction contract with Kenmore Construction Co. for the Hapcremene Water Plant Concrete Rehabilitation Project, to authorize the appropriation and transfer of $13,599,420 from the Water System Reserve Fund to the Water Supply Revolving Loan Fund account, to authorize the appropriation and expenditure of $13,599,420 from the Water Supply Revolving Loan Fund, to authorize a transfer and expenditure of up to $2 million or $2,000 within the Water General Obligation Voted Bond Funds to provide for the payment of prevailing wage services to the Department of Public Utilities for the Division of Water, and to authorize amendment to the 2019 capital improvements budget, to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to grant a temporary construction easements and other agreements, and to declare an emergency. This project will rehabilitate deteriorated concrete at Columbus's largest water treatment facility and to maintain the reliability of the treatment process and prevent further and more costly damage that would occur if this project were postponed. This project is part of the city's ongoing efforts to maintain a reliable supply of safe drinking water to its customers, and which will result in sustainable economic growth well into the future. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second. Please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you, President Harden. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Public Service Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Favor. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight in Public Service and Transportation, we have ordinance number 1384-2019 to authorize the city auditor to transfer cash and appropriation between projects within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of the Department of Public Service to enter into a construction guaranteed maximum reimbursement agreement with White Castle Management Company, to authorize the expenditure of up to $1,434,621.21 within the Streets and Highways Bonds Fund, and to declare an emergency. This project will result in the construction of 2 new public roadways in the vicinity of the 55 West Goodell Street site, Edgar Waldo Way, and Generations Pass. Construction will also include new street lighting, storm sewer, retaining walls, and a water line included in the Generations Pass and Edgar Waldo Way water line improvement plan. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance number 1527-2019 to amend the 2019 capital improvement budget to authorize and direct the city auditor to appropriate and transfer funds from the Special Income Tax Fund to the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to authorize the transfer of funds within the Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of Public Service to enter into contract with Shelley and Sands Incorporated for resurfacing 2019 Project 2, to authorize the expenditure of up to $11,508,177.72 from the Streets and Highways Bond Fund for resurfacing 2019 Project 2, and to declare an emergency. This is the second of 3 resurfacing packages for 2019 that will include 32 streets and 188 ADA curb ramps. Work will consist of milling the existing pavement, overlaying with new asphalt concrete, minor curb replacement, replacing curb and sidewalk associated with installing ADA wheelchair ramps, and full-depth pavement repair where warranted, as noted in the plans. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Please call the row.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. President Harden, may I move on? Thank you. Tonight in housing, we have ordinance number 1518-2019 to authorize the Director of Department of Development to enter into contract with Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission for the purpose of creating a regional housing strategy that develops investment and policy recommendations for communities to support mixed-income neighborhoods and regional growth, to authorize the expenditure of $125,000 from the general fund, and to declare an emergency. This study with MORPC is coming at a really important time as our entire community joins together to combat the challenge of affordable housing in Columbus. Earlier this afternoon, I had the opportunity to be a part of the Housing Trust Fund announcement, in which we announced a $100 million fund led by Huntington Bank that will be used to prioritize affordable housing development throughout the city. The fund will provide a flexible source of capital that will expand the resources available for investment in affordable housing development in Franklin County. The fund will be managed by the Affordable Housing Trust, who will provide below market rate loans to developers who commit to the fund's affordability criteria that will increase and preserve the number of affordable rental homes in Columbus and Franklin County. The fund will give priority and provide incentives to projects that average 60% AMI rents or below. Borrowers will be encouraged to seek subsidies that will allow for a percentage of units to be made available to residents between 30% and 50% AMI. And as you know, our residents overwhelmingly voted yes to the Affordable Housing Bond Package for $50 million, which is the first of its kind in our city's history. Affordable housing is one of the biggest challenges we face as a city. It's estimated that nearly 54,000 households in our community are paying more than they can afford for housing. This study, coupled with the $100 million Housing Trust Fund and $50 million affordable bond package, will provide the city with a detailed analysis of our current housing situation and assist us with making informed recommendations on how to best leverage these historical resources in an effort to remain proactive and intentional about ensuring that everyone in our city has a safe and affordable place to live in Columbus. Director Shoney, is there anything else you would like to add?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today was a good day, but it was just a step. We, as a city, are fortunate in some ways to have a housing problem. Every community has one type of a housing problem or another. Either you have the problems that we have where we're faced with the challenges of growth and providing affordable housing, or you're dealing with the consequences of having an economy that remains in crisis despite the strength of the overall economy. We are very fortunate to have partners in the private sector who are willing to step up to this degree. And so today is a good day, but today is just the start. So the legislation that we are looking at is how do we take this to the next level, not just as a city, but as a region. I am very proud that the city of Columbus is taking a leadership role in this, and that the administration and this council are putting these kind of resources into making sure that we do this as well as we can. And that we set the stage for continuing this fight. So I want to thank you, Council Member, for your continued leadership, advocacy, and partnership. And that goes to every single member of this council, because every single member of this council is on me about this issue. I think it's fair to say because it matters. And so thank you to all of you. My hope is that over the next couple weeks to a month, we'll be coming out with some more information about who it is that we've selected along with MORPC to be the lead consultant on this. We had great involvement from the county in helping us review. We actually had a representative from the Affordable Housing Alliance in helping us go through and review the RFPs. That was a member of the YWCA staff. Their chief mission officer, I think is her title, was part of our team. So we were really trying to be inclusive in this. And I think when we get to announcing some of the final details, you'll all be very impressed by the breadth of the communities that want to become involved in finding a solution on these problems. So again, thank you for your leadership and help, and thank you to all the members of council, and happy to take any other questions if members have any.
Thank you, Director Shoney. Any comments or questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second. Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And last in the Housing Committee, we have ordinance number 1532-2019 to create the Far East Community Reinvestment Area and to authorize real property tax exemptions as established in sections 3735.65 to 3735.70 of the Ohio Revised Code. The goal of a community reinvestment area is a neighborhood revitalization and stabilization program. Last week, I held a public hearing to discuss the creation of a CRA on the far east side of Columbus. This ordinance will provide for exemption from an increase in real property tax for construction of new housing, on the increase in valuation of building conversions from commercial use to residential use, and on the increase in property taxes due to the renovation of existing single and multi-family housing units within the established boundaries. We are thrilled to have a developer, Herman and Kittle, ready to build affordable housing units in this area, with 248 units at 60% AMI. Now, as a point of reference, 60% AMI encompasses households that are right around the $35,000 to $40,000 annual income range, which is absolutely needed in our community. It's important to highlight that through the creation of the community reinvestment area on the far east side and elsewhere in Columbus, anyone located within those specific boundaries would qualify to participate in the housing incentive policy, regardless if it's a brand new house or a development or a single-family residential rehab. Director Shoney, any comments you would like to add as well?
Thank you, Madam Chair, President Harden, members of council. As the chair said, this presents opportunities for existing homeowners and other developers that may want to come into the census tract to take advantage of the program. This is different than the last community reinvestment area that we created earlier this spring. This one falls into our middle category where there is no height requirement, there is no density requirement, and this is open to single-family homes. I'm excited about the opportunity with this particular census tract because this is a census tract that is further out from downtown. It is in a neighborhood that falls into that middle category, and those neighborhoods have the opportunity to see more investment, but they also have the risk of seeing disinvestment. And so this is an opportunity for us to bring additional affordable housing, provide additional tools for homeowners to create wealth and participate in our success. So I'm very excited about this opportunity again for about the 8th time today. Thank you to the council member and thanks to the rest of the members.
Thank you, Director Shoney. We do have one speaker, has turn is split. Mr. Joe Motil. Welcome back to council.
President Harden, members of City Council, Pro Tem Brown, my name is Joe Motil. I reside at 167 West Cook Road in Columbus. After driving through this proposed CRA and looking at the homes in the neighborhood firsthand, just like the Kenny and Henderson Road CRA that you approved in February, the pictures which were taken as part of your housing conditions survey are, again, nothing more than minor code violations that could have easily been addressed through the City Code Enforcement Division. Fascia board and siding that needs replaced, a 6-foot section of gutter that was hanging off the edge of a roof, peeling paint, vinyl siding that needs washed. Nothing that can't be found in any neighborhood throughout Columbus, and none of which are too expensive for most homeowners to repair themselves or even to hire someone to do the work at a minimal cost. And if the folks can't afford to make these minor repairs, it's most likely due to economic inequality, the lack of good-paying jobs, and other economic and social issues which are preventing people from enjoying economic stability. These problems are not going to be solved by handing out endless tax abatements for affluent developers in corporate Columbus. I saw many well-manicured yards and maintained houses in the area. I spoke to a retired gentleman who had lived in his home for 13 years. He commented that his biggest frustration was home and rental property owners not making the simplest of minor repairs. When I told him about the CRA that was being created, he said he knew nothing about it. And when I stated that one of the criteria was that the area had to be considered distressed, he took offense to it. He said this is not a distressed neighborhood. The average value of homes in the proposed CRA is around $75,000 to $125,000, with some selling occasionally between $125,000 and $140,000. So in order for your average homeowner to be eligible for this 100% 15-year abatement, they have to do a project, it's my understanding, to be roughly 20% or more of the current value of their home. So let's just put a value at $100,000 for a home. So in order for the homeowner to get the tax abatement, they will have to make an investment of at least $20,000 on the renovation project. And I find it highly unlikely that homeowners in this area have the economic means to make such an investment in their properties to take advantage of this tax abatement. And I'm also concerned that we will see an influx of out-of-town and other absentee landlords purchasing properties, neglecting them, sitting on them hopefully for someday an easy return on their investment. My objection to this CRA is not with the proposed Riverside Trails project, because I believe, as you do, the rent prices are fair and reasonable. I object to the using of tax abatements that continue to reduce necessary revenue for Columbus schools, and in this case, a developer has been in business for 70 years and works in 18 states and is not in need of a handout. And I'd like to know if this is, in fact, their first affordable housing project that has been associated with a 100% 15-year tax abatement. In conclusion, there are roughly 100 or more acres of undeveloped land that currently sits in the CRA that will possibly be developed and further reduce property tax revenues. So really, let's be honest, the CRA, like the Kenny and Henderson CRA, is being created for new development and really not for the benefit of those to reinvest into their $100,000 homes. Thank you for extra time.
Thank you, Mr. Motil. Director Shoney, anything you would like to respond?
I guess I'd just like to briefly address the mathematical impossibility that developing land that is undeveloped would somehow reduce property taxes. Again, as I think we've said multiple times to this council, the property tax abatement is on the value of is on the increased value of a property. So putting an abatement on does nothing to reduce the revenues for whether it be the schools or levy agencies or the city itself.
Thank you. And if I can just reiterate that we did host a public hearing last week in Chambers. We did not have any public outcry, and in fact, we had some welcome reception from a few of the area commissioners that were absolutely in support of the creation of the Far East area.
Madam Chair, for those who couldn't hear, I think Mr. Motil's response was he wanted to know the answer to his question about whether the developer had received an 100% abatement anywhere else in the city. I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. Be happy to get him an answer on that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Are there any comments or questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I would move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think we're a little bit over, so may I get a motion to recess? Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
We will begin zoning momentarily. Regular meeting number 33 will now come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
We will now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Tyson chairs that committee. All members serve on the committee. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Before beginning the zoning agenda, I'll briefly explain the rules of council as pertaining to speaking before council on zonings and variances. We permit 3 speakers on each side, 3 proponents, 3 opponents, and we ask that they limit their remarks to 3 minutes on each side, and we provide an opportunity for rebuttal from the applicant. On the advice of the city attorney's office, we ask that anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against a council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will. Thank you. All right, the first ordinance is 1545-2019 to grant a variance with provisions of sections 3332.039 R4 Residential District, 3332.05A4 Area District Lot with requirements, 3332.15 R4 Area District requirements, 3332.19 fronting, 3332.25 maximum side yards required, 3332 3332.26C1, minimum side yard permitted. 3332.27, rear yard of the Columbus City Codes for property located at 854 Summit Street. To permit a carriage house on the lot developed with a single-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R4 residential district. The applicant is Amaya Dye, care of Dave Perry. The proposed use is a carriage house on lot developed with single-unit dwelling. The city department's recommendation is approval. The Italian Village recommendation is approval 6-0. I first move to waive second reading.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. Now I move for passage.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 1550-2019 to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332.037 R2F Residential District, 3312.49 minimum numbers of parking spaces required, 3332.14 R2F area district requirements, 3332.19 fronting on a public street, 3332.26 minimum side yard permitted, 3332.27 rear yard, and 3332.38 private garage of the property located at 70 Martin Avenue. To permit 2 single-unit dwellings on 1 lot with reduced development standards in the R2F residential district. The applicant is Christopher J. Knopp. The proposed use is a carriage house on a lot developed with single-unit dwelling. The city department's recommendation is approval, and the Franklinton Area Commission's recommendation is approval 14-0. If there are no questions or comments, I move to waive second reading.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. Now I move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 1562-2019 to rezone 5303 Wilcox Road, being 40-plus acres located at on the west side of Wilcox Road, 920 feet south of Tuttle Crossing Boulevard from the LAR 12 and LARLD Limited Apartment District, residential districts, to LAR1 Limited Apartment Residential District. The applicant is the Pines at Tuttle Crossing Limited Partnership et al., care of attorney R. Brian Newcomb. The proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. The city department's recommendation is approval, and the Hayden Run Civic Association's recommendation is 4-0. If there are no questions or comments, I move to waive second reading.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Waived.
Thank you, and I now move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 1563-2019 to grant a variance for the provisions of sections 3333.16 fronting and 3333.255 perimeter yard of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 5303 Wilcox Road to permit an apartment complex with reduced development standards in the LAR1 Limited Apartment Residential District. The applicant is the Pines at Tuttle Crossing Limited Partnership et al., care of attorney R. Brian Newcomb. The proposed use is a multi-unit residential development. The city department's recommendation is approval, and the Hayden Run Civic Association recommendation is approval 4-0. If there are no questions or comments, I first move to waive second reading.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, and now I move for passage.
Sorry. Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Now it's passed.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 1635-2019 to rezone 1859 Parsons Avenue, being, 1.78 acres located at the northwest corner of Parsons Avenue and Reeb Avenue from CPD Commercial Plan Development District to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Parsons Village 2 LLC, care of Dave Perry. The proposed use is senior housing development. The city department's recommendation is approval. The Columbus South Side Area Commission's recommendation is approval 13-0. If there are no questions or comments, I move to waive second reading.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Waived.
Thank you, and now I move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 257-2019 to rezone 775 West Broad Street, being .2 acres located at the southeast corner of West Broad Street and South Davis Avenue from the AR1 Apartment Residential District and C4 Commercial District to the C3 Commercial C3 Commercial District. The applicant is Katie Robinson. The proposed use is a neighborhood-scale commercial uses. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the Franklinton Area Commission's recommendation is approval, 11-0 to 3. If there are no questions or comments, I move to one, take from the table.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Remove.
Thank you, and now I move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. And the final ordinance this evening is ordinance number 1549-2019 to rezone 5570 Riverside Drive, being 17.43 acres located at the east side of Riverside Drive, 2,140 feet north of West Case Road from the R Rural District to the PUD4 Planned Unit Development District. The applicant is Romanelli and Hughes Building Company, care of attorney Matthew Call. The proposed use is a single-unit residential development. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the Northwest City Association's recommendation was disapproval, 10-0. And I have a letter here from the chair of the Northwest Civic Association, Mr. Sapati, and he could not be with us. I just had the letter. But I just want to share that he wrote a letter, and this legislation initially got an approval in September of 2018, an approval for this legislation that we're talking about tonight. Then there was an issue with, I guess I'll let the attorney. When we come up, Mr. Cole, you want to speak to what happened, and then we'll take the vote. Good evening, Attorney Cole. How are you?
Good evening, President Harden, council members, Chair Tyson. My name is Matthew Cull. I'm here on behalf of Kephart Fisher. We went before the Northwest Civic Association with a plan in September of 2018. We received a vote of 6-3. The 3 negative votes were primarily for traffic on Riverside Drive, as I recollect from my notes. It was a complicated annexation process, and we had a delay before we went back in front of the Development Commission. We were scheduled to go in front of the Development Commission on March 14th. On March 10th, on or around March 10th, the trees on the site were clear-cut. And we have been working ever since then to fix the issue and fix the problem. And as I got here, I passed out quick snapshots of what was taken down that we had committed to keeping, as well as what we have committed in writing, both in our development text and in the plan to put back. As a result of the trees being felled, the Northwest Civic Association decided to rescind their vote of approval, and due to the time it took us to do a full tree survey and accounting of what had happened, as well as work with city staff, Recreation and Parks to fix the issue. As I understand it, the Northwest Civic Association, who we went back to, didn't feel like they had been provided all the materials in time to make a decision again. We have maintained contact both with the Civic Association leadership and with neighbors since then. And I'd be happy to talk about the fix, but we think, although it's been a long road, the project is better off for the very long road we've been on.
Thank you. Thank you. Certainly, as Attorney Cole just mentioned, that got the approval, disapproval, because of felled trees. They have been working, Romanelli and Hughes and Mr. Cole have been working with the community to best fix the situation that, first of all, they've taken ownership of it, that they've taken ownership of this situation. And based upon that, I think it's that because of the work that they've done, and because of us reaching out and having conversations with the president of the Northwest Civic Association, who again sent a letter here today. I'll just read this portion of the letter. Romanelli and Hughes has taken ownership of the problem and has designed a plan to replace the trees in an aesthetically pleasing and functional manner. As I understand it, the plan comes at a considerable additional expense that was not included in the original forecast. Some have said that in the long term, this design may be better than the original. Given the circumstances and the fact that we can't just put the old trees back, it is my hope that Romanelli and Hughes be permitted to continue the project with the new landscape design. And again, it has been a lot of work from September of 2018 to March of this year between the Development Commission, the Civic Association, and our offices working together. And I think that, Mr. Stepetti couldn't be here today, but he sent this letter because of all the work that has happened to try to resolve a situation that that was an accident, and they've taken responsibility, and we're moving forward. And so, for me, I feel very comfortable with this decision, and I want to, for me, I'm ready to move this legislative forward in a positive way to continue to move forward with this development. Councilmember Brown.
Yes, Councilmember Brown, there was a traffic study done because Riverside Drive is a state route. There was an extensive study done, and there's shared off-site road infrastructure improvements on Riverside Drive that we are responsible for doing. I did not bring the traffic study with me today because since September, the issue, or really since March, the issue has been trees. I think, and it wasn't a hard outpouring. A lot of what was expressed at the, 3 separate Northwest Civic Association meetings was general dislike of the current traffic situation on Riverside Drive, that they feel that there's a lot of development and not enough being taken care of to take care of that. Because this project is geared towards empty nesters and retirees, I hate to use this word, but the additional traffic that this project brings is minimal, and it is actually safer because of the infrastructure improvements on the road. So even though it adds more units, it makes a safer Riverside Drive around the project.
It'll slow the traffic down.
I'm sorry?
It will slow the traffic down?
When it's all said and done, it's reducing the number of turnoffs into the property. And if you've driven either north or south recently in this area north of North Case, anyone that's turning into a driveway without a turnoff, it slows everything down. You get people stopping on their brakes. And what's going in here is a widening of the road that will allow divergence around, so you're not having the accordion and the quick stop of the brakes. Does that answer?
No, that's fine. I acknowledge I had a conversation with some other folks about the trees, so.
Yeah, that was the issue.
Yes.
If the trees hadn't been felled, we would just not even really probably have this conversation, because it was 6-3, and I think the Civic Association was certainly for this project. And in the text, which normally you don't see, is that they have in here that they, at a minimum, are putting in 667 trees on this property. Between ornamental, evergreens, and deciduous trees. So with that, again, I think that the Civic Association has moved forward, and the new design is one that they think would be a great design for this project. And so with that, if there are no other questions or comments, I will, first of all, I want to amend to emergency, move to amend to emergency.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you, and now I move for passage.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
That's all I have in zoning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Seeing no further business in the zoning committee, may I get a motion to adjourn? Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. Regular meeting number 33 will now reconvene. May I have a motion to reconvene? Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
We are now in the, what committee are we? Criminal Justice Committee. Councilmember Favor chairs that committee. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight in Criminal Justice and Judiciary, we have ordinance number 1558-2019 to authorize the Director of the Department of Finance and Management to enter into a contract with the Franklin County Public Defender Commission to provide legal counsel to indigent persons charged with criminal offenses, to authorize the transfer of $54,837 within the general fund, to authorize the expenditure of $1,354,837 from the general fund, and to declare an emergency. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for for passage by voice vote.
Is there a second? Second. Please call the roll by voice.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Brown? Yes. Mr. Dorans? Yes. Ms. Favor?
Yes.
Mr. Remy?
Yes.
Ms. Tyson?
Abstain.
President Harden.
Yes, ordinance passed with exceptions.
Thank you. That is all we have in the Criminal Justice Committee.
Thank you, Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Economic Development Committee, chaired by Councilman Remy. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Council President Harden. I have one item in the Economic Development Committee this evening. It's ordinance number 133, 2019, to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to approve petitions submitted by the owners of real property within the city requesting that their property be added to the territory of the Columbus Regional Energy Special Improvement District and plans for public improvements and public services attached to those petitions on behalf of the Council of the City, to approve program guidelines for the implementation of property-assessed clean energy financing on commercial and industrial real property within the city, to approve and authorize the city to execute, deliver, and perform a standing assignment agreement with respect to property-assessed clean energy transactions in cooperation with the Columbus Regional Energy Special Improvement District, and to declare an emergency. This legislation is to authorize the Director of the Department of Development on behalf of the Council to approve petitions, supplemental plans submitted by the owners of property located within the city requesting that their property be added to the territory of the district and special assessments be levied by the city on that property in order to pay the costs of special energy improvement projects described in the applicable petition and supplemental plan. The legislation approves and adopts program guidelines with which the Development Director shall comply in approving or disapproving any petitions and supplemental plans under this legislation. This legislation is also to approve and authorize the city to execute, deliver, and perform a standing assignment agreement with the district to provide for the financing of special energy improvement projects on commercial and industrial properties within the city from time to time. This is a great program for our corporate and industrial constituency to optimize energy efficiency standards, and it is one where we are leading the nation, I believe. Is that correct, Director? Do you have a couple words you'd like to say about it?
Thank you, Chair, President Hardin, members of council. This is a program, the Energy Supported, I can't remember what you said stands for, and it's late in the afternoon, or late in the evening, Energy Supported Clean Infrastructure Program has been something where we are actually leading the country. We have found that as we've gone out and talked to other communities are waiting to study this, and we are moving forward with the program very aggressively. What this legislation does is it allows us to move more quickly now that we've gotten our program fully kind of built out. In the past, we have been forced to bring, I think, 3 pieces of legislation individually to council. This will allow us to streamline that process and move more quickly to meet the financing needs of our partners.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Director. I kind of threw that to you on the spot, so appreciate the answer. Do any of my clients have any questions or comments this evening? All right. Seeing none, I move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you very much. That's all I have tonight in the Department of Economic Development. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. The final committee to come before council is the Health and Human Services Committee. Councilmember Tyson chairs it. Councilmember, floor is yours.
You know, Director Shoney, he gets paid to know those answers on the spot. Right, Director? Yeah. Just say yes. Yes, you do. Thank you. Okay, I have ordinance 1499-2019 to authorize and direct the Board of Health to accept a Get Vaccinated Ohio grant from the Ohio Department of Health to authorize the appropriation of $447,800 in grant money from the unappropriate balance of the Health Department's grants fund and to declare an emergency. These dollars are to enable Columbus Public Health to ensure that critical elements of the vaccine provided and the vaccine delivery system are adequate, to establish and maintain a high level of awareness and demand for immunization by parents, particularly racial and ethnic minority parents and other underserved population groups, and to accurately measure the ability of local vaccine providers to raise minimum levels in children under the age of 2 toward the goal of 90%. Special focus, again, we placed on extending immunization services to individuals who are underserved and under-immunized populations throughout this county. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. The last ordinance is 1505-2019 to authorize and direct the Board of Health to accept a grant from the Ohio Department of Health for the Moms Quit for Two grant program in the amount of $152,501 to authorize the appropriation of $152,501 to the Health Department and the Health Department's grants fund and to declare an emergency. Since 2014, the Baby and Me Tobacco-Free program at Columbus Public Health has had a direct impact on infant mortality in Franklin County and has unequivocally been the largest program in Ohio, serving over 450 since its inception. Currently, almost 200 residents are participating. In 2018, 90% of the babies delivered in Columbus Public Health's program were full-term and healthy, with 96% of the participants remaining smoke-free through the baby's first year of life. This program also has partner enrollment for one support person, carbon monoxide monitoring, provision of diaper vouchers and incentives for those participants that are smoke-free, and outreach, community education, and partnerships with other community health care organizations and providers. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. That's all I have on my committee this evening.
Seeing no further business to come before council, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Dorans, favor, Remy Tyson, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. We have several